Danielle here from Rooted Studio in Platteville, Wisconsin. Today I'm bringing you a shoulders class in my style, which I call Yin Flow. So we'll find some movement and some holding as we go. It will probably be helpful to have at least one block, if not two. You can get by without having a block at all, but for a lot of this, it will make some of the poses easier, and so it's just a suggestion to have on hand. Today we're starting in child's pose. So if you know that you cannot maintain this pose for a couple minutes, feel free to find something else that works for you. But otherwise, if you're coming into child's pose, taking your knees as wide as the mat, your big toes are touching, and then walk yourself down to the mat, resting your forehead on the ground or maybe on a block. Your hands, I want them reaching in front of you, but you don't need to really super extend right now. We will begin to work into your shoulders a little bit later. But otherwise, just letting your hands walk out a bit and then your shoulders relax. Head is relaxed. I might look up sometimes so I can talk to the camera and you can hear me better, but you should keep your head down, forehead on the ground. Keep your glutes reaching towards your heels. It's okay if you're not actually sitting on your heels. It's just that action of reaching your hips back as the front top half of your body reaches forwards, creating length in your spine. And then check in with your breathing. See if you can breathe so deep into your belly that you feel your stomach touching your thighs or moving against your body somewhere else where you can just feel this connection between upper body and lower body. Notice if you're holding any tension in your hands, seeing if you can release that, let that relax. Making sure your shoulders are away from your ears, letting that relax. Feeling more space between your shoulder blades, can you let them roll away from your spine, almost like they're sinking down your sides towards the mat? Continuing to breathe deeply, all the way down into your belly space, letting your belly button go towards the floor on your inhale. And then pull back towards your spine on your exhale. Noticing the way that the air feels as it comes into your body. Can you feel its temperature? Does it feel thick or thin? How far down can you follow it in your mind, through your nose and into your body? Where do you lose the sensation of your breath? And when you breathe out, what happens in the rest of your body? Can you feel contraction? Can you feel release? Can you follow the air from that deepest point in your body back out through your nose or your open mouth? What temperature is the air on the way out? And now feeling into your entire body, what internal sensations outside of breathing can you notice right now in yourself? What's going on in your fingertips? What's happening in your toes? How about in your stomach? Your thighs? What's going on in your neck? Can you be aware of all the places you're touching your mat or the floor all at the same time? What this allows you to do is really go internal and connect with your body and with this quiet space within yourself. We go through our day so busy, so distracted that often we forget to tune in. So starting your practice this way is really important to reconnect, to settle in, to slow your mind and your breath down, and to prepare your body for the opening, for the unfolding during your yoga practice. If you like setting an intention for your practice, this is the time to do it. And maybe it's simply, I am open, and I'm going to leave that open so you can take that in whatever direction you want. You are open to what? You can set your own intention. You can choose to have none at all. But regardless of what you're choosing or not, we'll call that into your mind right now if you are going with an intention. I am open, or something of your own. Thinking of that, bringing that into the front of your mind, setting your mind on it as a focus for practice today. Exhale out any air that's in your lungs. Take a really big inhale through your nose. Pausing at the top of your breath. Hold it here. Keep that intention in your mind. Open mouth, exhale. Let it go. Second breath, same way. Big inhale through your nose. Pause. Hold your intention. And exhale. Third breath, seal your lips, intention in mind. Inhale. Hold that intention there. Keep holding. And exhale through your nose. Staying in child's pose, or if you ended up coming out of it or not coming into it at all, if you could head into child's pose now. And again, if you're here, just continue to listen. Walk your hands forwards as much as you can, but keep your hips reaching towards your heels. So you're actually creating extra length along your spine, working vertebrae, working your SI joint as your hips are sinking down towards your heels, working through your armpits as your arms stretch forwards. Maybe even bringing your chin to the mat if you need a little more. Walk your hands off your mat to the right, keeping your left hip reaching back. Feel the stretch down your left side. Maybe it starts at your armpit. Maybe it starts somewhere else. Can you follow that stretch from start to where you lose it? And breathe. Walk back to center and go the other way. Walk your hands to the left off of your mat. Right hip still reaching back towards your heels. Feeling the stretch through right armpit or the side of your body. How far does that stretch go? Is it the same as on the other side? Coming back to center. We'll come up to a seated position. So you have a couple options. You could sit in simple cross legs. If you're comfortable sitting on your calf muscles, you can sit in hero pose. If you have a block, you could even place it between your feet for a little extra support. That's actually the way that I'm going to sit here. And we're just going to start warming up your shoulders a little bit. So I want you to do some shoulder rolls, but really make these slow and conscious. So as you come forwards, feel the stretch in the back of your shoulders as you draw your shoulders up towards your ears, and it doesn't matter if you go backwards or forwards first, But when you get to the back, like pinch your shoulder blades together, drag them down, nice and slow and controlled. You can coordinate your breath however it makes sense for you. Feel free to get some arm movement into it. So I'm taking my elbows out a little wider to get more of a stretch through my back. Go the other direction, nice and slow. Notice how it feels different going in a different direction. What part of it do you feel the most? What part of this is the hardest for you? Doing one or two more rolls and then coming back to center. We'll find eagle arms here. So you'll take your right arm underneath your left and you can touch backs of hands. If this is too much on your shoulders, you can simply grab your shoulders, or maybe you can reach palms together. So you're looking right at your thumbs, a nice compression through your arms, through your shoulders. Now begin to pull your arms forwards a little bit away from your body. So if you take a look at me, I'm going to move in this direction so I feel more space between my shoulder blades. And then begin to take your elbows up higher. Stop whenever it feels okay for you. You want to stretch, but you don't want pain. So I can feel this along the tops of my shoulder blades. And that's where I tend to get some knots. So it feels painful, but not in like a, oh my God, I can't handle this kind of way. More of an edge. It's more of a discomfort that I can breathe through. And let that go. We'll switch sides. So now left arm comes underneath right. Same thing if you can get palms to touch, then get palms to touch. If not, backs of hands or grab your shoulders. Looking towards your thumbs. This time, as you take your arms away from your body a little bit to create that stretch between your shoulder blades, drag your arms down. So you look more towards your fingers than your wrists or your thumb. So before we raised arms up and you were maybe even looking at your wrist. This time we're dragging everything down. Make sure that as you're sitting, you're not excessively pushing your belly forwards, your low ribs. Keep all of that zipped up and in. Keep breathing. Make sure you're feeling the stretch. And then let that go. Shake it out if you need to shake it out. You may have felt that one a lot. I know I did, but again, I'm usually tight around my shoulders, so I'm not surprised. The last one we're going to do while seated is reverse namaskar. So namaskar is hands in prayer position at your heart, but we're going to reverse this and take them around to your back. So if you are sitting cross-legged, I want you to change the cross of your legs first. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to take your hands and we'll eventually work them into prayer, but start with prayer with your hands pointing down. Turn your fingertips up and then see if you can take your hands up a little higher up your back. Let your shoulders settle down away from your ears. Elbows are out to the sides, and you can take your hands up as high as you need to. You might keep them down nice and low, but just make sure you're not crunching up like this. Make sure you're staying relaxed through it. And if you can't do this because of wrists or whatever other reason, you can just grab your elbows. And here, make sure also that if you are pressing your hands into your back, you're not excessively pushing the rest of your body forwards. Keeping yourself in a neutral position. Continuing to breathe. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Let that go. You might feel it a lot in your wrists now, so maybe shaking out your wrists. That's one that you can generally feel more in shoulders and wrists. Once you're out of it, you don't always notice it as much when you're in it. We'll come up to a forward fold. So I'm going to come into tabletop first, and then just kind of walk myself into a nice bent leg, head resting forward fold. Take your hands to your shins, come into a half lift, but in this half lift, now take your arms out wide. So you feel an expansiveness across your chest. Keep breathing here, really reaching through fingertips. You could even have your elbows bent a little bit. Starting to feel into your shoulder space and fold. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, half lift, hands to shins. Once you're in hands to shins, lift your arms out to the sides. I'm really close to the wall, so I'm hitting the wall on the left side. I should probably face this way. Breathe, feeling the openness across your chest, maybe even looking forwards a little bit, and then fold. Step back into down dog. Pedal out your dog. Really feel into your armpits here, into your shoulders as you stretch it out. And then walk forwards. Inhale up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to move to the wall to do some wall stretches. So hopefully you have a space in your house where you'll be able to extend along the wall and have some room there. So feel free to pause me if you need to pick me up and take me somewhere else with you. But make sure you've got some space for not only your feet, but also your arms to do some stretches here. The first thing we're going to do on the wall is called shower. So think of what down dog felt like. That's actually a back lengthener, a back extender, and it works into your shoulders as well. We're going to do the same thing, but from a wall position. So you'll have to turn and face the wall. You'll come about fingertip distance. Now I have really long limbs, so I know I need to step back another step. We're coming into this position. So think how down dog, you're letting your head relax between your arms are extended, your elbows are not bent, they're nice and straight. For some people, I've had people who have a little bend during down dog, but we're not excessively bending. So that's where we're going. Fingertips to the wall, feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit more. Once you have your distance, you'll take your palms onto the wall, leaning into the wall a little bit, and then you'll send your hips back. So it's like somebody's got a little string on your tailbone and is pulling you back, and you're hinging forwards, letting your head hang between your arms. I need to step back just a little bit more. So make sure that, so notice how I should say first. So notice how I have my arms a little bit higher than my shoulders. I'm not necessarily parallel to the floor. I'm up a little bit and I'm letting my head hang. My shoulders are relaxed away from my ears as much as they can be. My elbows are not like this. They're not excessively sticking out. Just getting a nice stretch. I'm sending my hips back, finding length in my spine and in my armpits, letting my head hang. My fingers are spread nice and wide like starfish, and I'm pushing evenly into all my fingers, trying to feel the wall underneath the entirety of my palm. Really stretch through your shoulders here, beginning to breathe into that space. Make sure your knees aren't locked out. You can have a bend, and it can be just a micro bend, or if you need a larger bend, feel free. And maybe as you get a little more relaxed into this, you can drop down a little bit further. Keep breathing. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Begin to walk back up close to the wall. And then from here, we'll turn sideways, coming about a fist distance away from the wall. Once you are fist distance from the wall, so not leaning your hip into the wall, take your left foot forward. Your foot is parallel to the wall. Your right foot will go back at a 45-degree angle. Notice how your body wants to open, so turn back the way that your left toes are facing. Bend into your left knee. Make sure you can still see your big toe and second toe past your knee, and if you can't, you might need to step a little bit wider. Keep your body facing your left toes in that direction. You're going to take your left hand, sending your palm onto the wall, your thumb pointing up. This is where, if you've had an old shoulder injury, you might really notice a difference between sides. I want you to take your arm while it's here and maybe walk it up the wall a little bit higher, but don't come more than parallel to the floor. So if you need to look back a little bit to see what parallel is, that's fine. Tendency is to want to lean forwards, so really work on keeping your chest open, your right shoulder reaching back. Right hand, you can take it and place it on your heart, just as a reminder to keep a lift here and an opening across your chest. If you need to, you can lean a little bit closer to the wall for more of a push into your shoulder, but see if you can keep your hip off the wall. Don't lean into the wall with your body, you're just leaning into this stretch a little bit more. You don't need your arm up high. If this is intense, take your arm down a bit more. Check in with your intention and your breath. And we'll slowly work our way out. So slide your hand very carefully down the wall. If your right hand is in your heart, let that fall. Step your feet together and shake it out. You might notice a big stretch, like we did with reverse namaskar. It's almost bigger when it comes out. That's not the case for everyone, but that is for many people. When you're ready, you'll come to the other side. So your right side is facing the wall. You'll come a fist distance away to start. Right foot goes forwards, parallel to the wall. Left foot steps back at a 45. Body automatically wants to open to the left, so straighten your body out. Feel free to widen your stance if needed. Bend into your front knee. Make sure you can see big toe, second toe, and if you can't, step a little wider. Make sure you're not leaning into the wall. Right hand goes behind you, thumb up, palm on the wall. Left hand can come to your heart, or it can hang out, it's up to you. Begin to slide your right hand up the wall, no more than parallel. Keep your chest lifting. Keep your left shoulder reaching back. And breathe, especially into your shoulder space if it's tight and you need to take your mind off of it a little bit, or to help you get a little bit deeper. Staying connected to your breath helps with that process. And if you need a little more, lean into your shoulder. Don't rest your body on the wall though. If you're holding any tension in your face, let that go. Keep breathing, keep checking in with your intention. We'll begin to work our way out, so slowly slide your hand down the wall. Left hand, if it's on your heart, can drop. Step your feet together and shake it out. Nice. So you should feel a lot in your shoulders there. Maybe find some shoulder rolls just to help move some of that energy around. Feel free to find anything through your neck. And if you wanted to find another shower on the wall before we move on, that would be another nice option as well. We're going to come into down dog. So it is basically the same thing as shower on the wall, except with being on the floor. Before we get down there though, we're going to start with our overhead, breath in, arms up. Really reach up towards the ceiling like you're being pulled in both directions, through your feet, through your hands. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And then open through your arms like we did before. Feeling the space across your chest. Drawing your shoulder blades together, dragging them down a little bit. And exhale, fold. Step back into down dog. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And then come into tabletop. Our next shoulder stretch is called melting heart or puppy pose. So for puppy pose or melting heart, it's called puppy pose because animals do this all the time. If you have dogs or cats, you'll see them doing this. I'll show you it first in case you're not familiar. You can watch me and then I'll walk you through how to get into it. But basically you'll end up walking your hands forwards, touching your forehead down, allowing your back to kind of dip, creating a stretch through your shoulders. I'll give you some modifications in that pose as well if you need more or less. The key thing though is to make sure your hips stay over your knees. So from tabletop, check that stack first. Are your hips over your knees? And then begin to walk your hands forwards, taking your forehead down to the mat. Some options. You can take a block and place your arms up on a block or 2 blocks to get more of a sink into the pose. You could take a block underneath your forehead if it's too far for you to reach down this way or uncomfortable. The other thing you can play with is your hand position. On the floor, you can take your hands in prayer and then bend your elbows so the thumbs are at the back of your neck, like so. You can also take your chin to the mat and look forwards. Whichever version you're in, if your arms are extended, see if you can walk them forwards just a little bit more to get more of a shoulder stretch. And breathe while you're there. Remember to keep breathing. Very important. If you have your thumbs touching the back of your neck, extend your arms long and take your hands away from each other. Begin to walk your hands slowly back underneath your body and then push back into down dog. Lift your right leg up to the ceiling. Get a nice stretch here through your leg, maybe rolling your ankle or even at the hip a couple times. Maybe dropping your heel down towards the ground and finding a stretch there. And then look up towards your hands. Send your foot through, coming into low lunge. In low lunge, make sure that your heel is underneath your knee, so you have a nice 90-degree angle here. Take your hips and sink them down. Reach through your back heel towards the wall behind you. Check in here with a couple breaths. Get really stable in your footing and then lift up into a high lunge, arms overhead. Both feet are still pointing forward. And here I want you to cactus your arms or goalpost your arms, bringing your elbows down, feeling the space across your chest. Maybe even drawing your shoulders back a little bit more than usual. Arms back overhead, project your lunge forwards. So you should be making almost a straight line from your back leg through your torso. Take your arms by your sides, make fists, send your arms straight behind you as high as you can, feeling into your shoulders, and then down to the ground. Bend your elbows, keep your arms squeezing to your body, send them back down. Go out to the sides. I can't on the left side because the wall's really close. And back down. Come back overhead. Lift up. Take your back foot, send it down towards the ground. So it ends up at a 45-degree angle. maybe taking a step closer like I did. Turn your body back towards the short edge of your mat. Inhale, lift. Front leg is straight. Exhale, fold. Finding pyramid here. A block or 2 blocks could be handy in this position. Right hip reaches back. Left hip is drawing forwards. Front leg is straight. You can stay half lifted like I am, or you could fold down towards your knee. Inhale, lift up. Take your hands behind your back. Find reverse namaskar with prayer basically behind your back like we did at the beginning. Pyramid again. Inhale. Exhale, fold, bringing your forehead towards your knee. If you can't do reverse namaskar, just grab your elbows or skip it entirely. Inhale, come up. Step your feet together. Turn towards the long edge of your mat. Step nice and wide. Turn your right toes in, left toes out. Again, block would be helpful, but not necessarily needed on the left side. Turn your body towards the long edge, arms parallel, coming into Trikonasana or triangle, reaching forwards, 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 until you can't anymore. Then tick-tocking your arms. If this bothers your shoulder, you can always take your hand to your hip. Breathing here. Maybe looking up. You can also do this on your shin if you don't have a block. If you do have a block, hold it in your left hand as you come back up. Keep your legs exactly where they are. Take your block overhead. If you don't have a block, just extend your arms up, and that's fine too. Coming back into triangle like we just did, except with an extension through your shoulders. Reaching, reaching, reaching. You'll know when to stop. You'll feel it because it'll be hard. So breathe, keep breathing, keep your biceps reaching towards your ears. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Inhale up. Bring your block back down to the ground. Step into Tadasana, so mountain pose, and then forward fold. Sliding your hands underneath your feet. Letting your head hang. Lift up through your shoulders. So while your feet are stepping on your hands, feel the stretch through your shoulders. Release that, stepping on your hands. Step back into plank. Keep your elbows tight to your body as you lower down. Knees, hips, chest. Push the tops of your feet in the mat. Big toes together. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, push back down, dog. Very nice. Other side. Left leg goes up. And then find your stretches here, maybe dropping your heel or working through ankle, hip. Look up towards your hands, step through. And like we said on the other side, make sure that you drop your hips. You've got this nice right angle up in your front leg. And breathe. Get your footing and rise up into high lunge. Cactus your arms. Feel the stretch across the front of your body, pinching your shoulder blades to the back and down a little bit. Project your lunge forwards, raise your arms up first, making that nice straight line. Take your hands down by your sides, make fists. Extend your arms back and down. Taking your elbows back and down. Raising out to the sides and down. Back overhead, lifting up. Right heel spins down. Take your body back to the front of your mat. Might need to step in a little bit for pyramid on this side. So block optional or your shin. Inhale, find length. Exhale, fold. Now would be a great time to check in with your intention again. Draw your right hip forwards, left hip back. Next, inhale, lift up. Reverse namaskar behind your back. This is actually the fullest expression of pyramid pose. If you can get your head down to your knee, that's what you would see in all the books. I can't do that, so you really won't see me do that. I get closer on my left side than my right, but make sure that your body is facing forwards. Inhale, find length. Exhale, fold. Next, inhale draws you up. We'll face the long edge of the mat. Let your hands shake out if needed. Block will go on the right side. Coming into triangle on this side. So if you step together, step wide, left toes in, right toes out, body back towards the long edge of your mat. Arms parallel to the ground. Inhale. Exhale, reach, reach, reach. Find your block, tick-tocking your arms. Like you're between two panes of glass. Make sure your butt isn't sticking out excessively to the back. Draw that in. If this bothers your top arm, just take your hand onto your hip. Grab hold of your block, bring it up with you. Reach overhead with your block. Keeping biceps to ears, or if you don't have a block, just reaching up. Inhale, exhale, triangle between two panes of glass. Reach, 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 reach. You'll know when to stop. It's hard. Keep breathing. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on back up. Bring down your block. Both toes facing forwards, finding a wide-legged forward fold with a shoulder stretch. So you can clasp your hands behind your back, and I encourage you, we always clasp the same way. I encourage you to do the opposite way with your opposite thumb on top. With your toes pointing forwards, you can step as wide or as narrow as you want. If you want that shoulder option, clasping your hands behind your back and then folding, allowing your hands to come overhead. Breathe. Letting your head hang. We'll come up. If your arms are overhead, pretend that somebody's grabbing your hands, helping you, coming up to stand. Releasing your arms, stepping your feet together. We'll come all the way onto the mat for our last set of exercises on the floor. Our first is called broken wing, which sounds painful, but it's a really nice shoulder stretch. On the floor, you'll extend your right arm coming straight out from your body. And then again, right arm straight out from your body, coming right out of your shoulder, making a nice 90-degree angle. You might want to watch me first if you haven't done this pose before, just so you know where I'm going, because you're going to keep your forehead down towards the mat to start, and then you'll end up looking in the opposite direction. So if you haven't done broken wing before, right arm is out to the side. You can change this angle, making it less. Think about how it felt on the wall if you needed to take your arm down a bit. You'll take your left hand for support off to your side, face looking down. You'll bend your left leg so your toes are up towards the ceiling, and then roll open through your shoulder. You have some options. You can take your other hand up and rest it on your back. Maybe you can reach your fingertips. And if you really need more, you can take your right leg up towards the ceiling, shifting your hips a little bit. Wherever you're at, just keep breathing in this pose. We'll be here for a full minute, so find your breath and focus on it. We'll begin to come out really nice and slow. So if your arm is behind you or resting on your back, bring your arm around first. Slowly, slowly, slowly roll your body back down to the mat. Take your time. And then slowly drag your right arm along your side. Let your left arm come along your side, palms facing up. And you can rest your chin or a cheek on the mat. If you have a cheek turned, make sure you do the opposite side after we do the other arm. If you have a cheek turned, bring your head back to center and we'll prepare for the other side. Left arm will go straight out this time. And I realized I was looking at my watch and I will not be able to see my watch when we go this way, so I have to take that off. Left arm out to the side. Right hand is a support by your face or your shoulder. Bend at the knee, right toes pointing up, keeping your forehead down. Begin to roll until you can touch your toes down to the ground. If you can't reach, you can always have a block underneath your toes, or just adjust your foot position until you're somewhere that you can stay. Remember, with your other arm, you can change its extension, how high up you are, but no more than parallel, perpendicular at this point with your body. And then right hand can be behind you. Maybe you can reach for your fingers or just keep it here. So we're going for a minute in this pose. And that's a minute from when I started timing, not from when you first got into it. If you need more depth, taking your left knee up to the ceiling. And for me, this is the side of my shoulder that I have an injury on. That's about a year old as I film this. So I can definitely tell I cannot go as far on this side, and that's okay. We'll begin to slowly work our way out. So if your arm is behind you, take it back down to the mat. We'll begin to roll as slow as you can. Back to the middle. Once your body is facing the ground, left hand slides down slow. Right hand meets it. And if you had a cheek turn, make sure to turn your head the other way this time. Bring your head back to center. Take your hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to push back into embryo pose. So embryo pose is knees together, toes together. Child's pose is wider. Arms along your sides, palms up, forehead resting on a block or the mat. And here, let your shoulders just sink down towards the ground. Really let tension in your shoulders go. We'll begin to work our way up, taking your hands underneath your shoulders, coming up to sit. And then before we head into final Shavasana, feel free to stretch out your arms and shoulders any way that you need to. Those were lots of deep stretches. So find whatever it is that is necessary to help work out any of those kinks or anything that feels unstretched. If there's any other stretches you want to take for any other parts of your body, it doesn't have to be shoulder focused, feel free to do that as well. When you're ready, we'll come down into final Shavasana, laying on your mat, on your back. And if you're finishing up any stretches, you'll just meet me when you get here. Extending your legs long or maybe leaving them bent today. You can take your feet as wide as your mat and knock your knees together, just for something different. Palms can be facing up or down, or maybe resting on your belly. And then take your shoulders and gently roll them underneath you. Really feeling into your shoulders once you get here. Noticing how they feel across the front, the sides, and the back. If there's any remaining tension, can you take your mind there and let your shoulder muscles relax a little bit more? Making sure you're breathing into your belly space, letting your belly button push up towards the ceiling on your inhale, and sink back towards your spine on your exhale. Relaxing the muscles around your eyes, letting your ears sink down towards the mat, relaxing your jaw, letting the roof of your mouth feel wider, and sinking in just a little bit deeper into your body and into your mat on the exhales. Beginning to lengthen your breath in both directions on the inhale And on the exhale, nice and slow. Feeling this space you've created within your body, this openness. And reconnecting to your intention before we move. Begin to bring some movement into your fingers and toes. And if your knees aren't already bent, maybe bending your knees and just letting your knees drop side to side, windshield wipering, rocking your hips. Maybe reaching your arms overhead, stretching through your shoulders one more time. And roll onto whatever side is more comfortable for you in a fetal position. Taking a couple slow, deep breaths here, all the way into your belly. Begin to push yourself up into a seated position when you're ready. And if you're sitting in simple cross legs, maybe crossing the opposite way just to bring some balance to your hips, your non-normal way. Walk your hips back, rest your hands on your knees, sit up nice and tall, finding space between your vertebrae. Inhale your arms overhead, palms to touch. Exhale your hands to your heart. Maybe you can find your heartbeat beneath your thumbs if you're just quiet for a moment. If you can't find it, know that it's there. And maybe make a practice of trying to quiet down and slow down enough that you can come to find it someday underneath your thumbs. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope your shoulders feel awesome after that. And we hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Namaste.